in that game. Wemby had 20 and 5 rebounds, 2 steals. Chet Holmgren, 21 points and 9 rebounds in that game. If people aren't super familiar, Chet Holmgren, only the 1 year in college. He was hurt all last year, but Wemby's gotten a lot of press these last 12, 18 months. Chet Holmgren is almost a forgotten man. He is very, very skilled. Also about 7'3", 7'4", very skinny, lanky individual. But what I wanted to bring to your attention, DK, is you're familiar with the 50-40-90 club?
50-40-90. Now, let me think about this real quick here. This is basketball, right? 50% from the floor, 40% from three, 90% from the line.
Correct. Okay. There was a guy, and his name was Larry Bird, and he was the first person to ever do this back in the mid-'80s. He did it 2 years in a row. There's only been 9 players in the history of NBA who've ever achieved that.
For a career?
No,
or
in
just
a
period?
season.
On a
One
season
shooting 50-40-90. Bird did it twice. Your guy, Mark Price, did it once. Reggie did it once. Steve Nash 4 times. Mm-hmm. Now, this is back in the low-volume era. Otherwise, his numbers would have been even crazier. Dirk did it once. KD's done it twice. Kyrie and Malcolm Brogdon also did it. The reason I'm bringing to this to your attention is currently Chet Holmgren is shooting 55% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. 50% from the three-point line.
Wow.
50%.
And he's 7'2"?
And he's 7'4".
7'4".
And he's shooting 90% from the free throw line. So currently, 10 games. The matchup between these two, they're both played 10 NBA games in their career. Wemby, 19.7 points, 8.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2.4 blocks, and 1 steal a game. Chet, very similar, 16.4, 7.6 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 2.3 blocks. The interesting thing to me is that even though Chet was drafted last year, they're both playing their first year in the NBA this season. Right. They're always going to be linked together because if you watch them on the court, nobody will match the physicality of Wembanyama other than potentially Chet Holmgren. Maybe Gobert, who we just talked about. They had their first matchup too, by the way. That's Wemby's mentor, both Frenchmen, Rudy Gobert up in Minnesota. But yeah, I think if you haven't had a chance, this game will be on national television tonight. Lots of things going on. But if you get a chance to watch even just some highlights of Chet Holmgren playing against Victor Wembanyama, it's more or less like 2 7'4" shooting guards playing against each other, David Kelly. It's like something, it's very odd to see guys with that much length and that much size handling the ball and making just skilled basketball plays, play in, play out, as if it's secondhand, because it is. It's what they do. It's just a different era. And coming from the era of watching guys like Manute Bol be very stiff, running up and down the court and launching threes, remember he had that three from behind his head that he used to shoot. This is just a completely different animal. Obviously, Wembanyama is turning a lot of heads, especially defensively this year. Chet Holmgren, you should definitely pay attention to what Chet's doing. He's also playing on a much better team over there with the Williams brothers from last year. And well, they're not brothers, but they were both Jay Williams and both drafted in the same year last year. Giddey is down there. Really, really a solid young team. Young, they're not going to probably do much now, but Chet is playing great so far in his first 10 games, and it's going to be a great matchup to watch them play in their first ever in-season NBA game tonight.
So in terms of Victor Wembanyama, though, he is 45, 30, and 77 right now.
Correct.
So
yes, correct.
He's under the 50,
and
40,
the
90.
volume, I think, is what you're looking at there. Wembanyama has taken a few more field goal attempts a game. He's more of a focal point. And obviously, the fourth quarter closing, if you've watched any Spurs games this year, Wemby doesn't really do much in the first three a lot of times, but he certainly makes his presence felt offensively in the fourth. Forces the issue, I think, a little bit more is what I would say. Yeah, he's got 16 field goal attempts per game, and Chet is currently at 10.2. So 6 more field goal attempts a game. That's the percentage difference. By no means am I saying that Chet Holmgren at 7 foot, I mean, he's listed at 7'1", 7'2", but he's really taller than that. If you watch him stand next to Wemby, he's a very tall individual. I'm not saying that Chet's going to end his rookie season as the 10th player to ever shoot those kind of numbers, but it's just mind-boggling to me that somebody that tall with that much length, also a very, very good defensive player, just like Wemby is, averaging 2.5 blocks a game on his rookie season. Chet Holmgren is just such a skilled basketball player, and if people don't know that name, they should. He was the number 1 high school recruit 3 years ago. He was the didn't really have as full a season as he would up there in Spokane as a lot of people wanted to, but obviously sitting out that full year, got hurt, as I remember, during preseason or over the summer right before the start of last year. So, yeah, Chet Holmgren, you got to go see that guy play. And, what better chance to see him play against the number 1 pick from this past season? Very similar. People are trying to already put a rivalry on these two guys. They haven't even played in the regular season together just because they're so similar. But I would not be surprised because Chet Holmgren is also a competitor to his core. I mean, that guy competes out there. Remember a video of him at Steph Curry's camp crossing Steph over and talking trash when he was 16 years old. I mean, that guy's out there to win as well. So it's going to be a good game.
And it gets underway in moments, about 15 minutes from tip-off tonight in Oklahoma City. This is an in-season tournament night in the association. All the games are the in-season tournament group play. The Thunder are 6-4 on the year. The Pacers, or I should say the Spurs, are 3-7. That game will be broadcast nationally on the TNT network with the Thunder a 10.5-point favorite. As he mentioned, did J-Dub, Chet Holmgren, who is shooting 55% from the floor, 50% from three, and 90% from the line. It's
pretty good
this season. And not too many guys have done that in a full single season in the NBA. So that'll be fun to watch. I don't know where we are in this tournament right now. I know the Suns lost their first game to the Lakers, if I'm not mistaken, but the Suns have played just once. Is that correct?
I think every team has only played just the one time.
So this is these are the
because they're doing them once a week. I could be incorrect on that, but I do know that they played. It had a blurry weekend, David Kelly. After the 3 pre and post games that we went through, I'm pretty sure this is the second, but it could be the third game for teams. I'm not sure on that.
And the Suns are back on the floor tomorrow night at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves, who J-Dub just mentioned are also playing at a high level. 7-2. Yeah. 7-2 are the Timberwolves. But I don't know, man. I said what I said a few weeks ago. The Timberwolves are just, to me, they're like the Rockies. I just don't know if they're ever going to be a team that wins that wins at a high level. Yeah. Because I don't know if you'll get guys that'll want to stay there for a long time. It's not the most inviting place to be in the wintertime. Yeah. And basketball guys generally don't like winter locales. Unless, of course, and this is the whole interesting thing of the European player part of this. And I've said this for years in Cleveland as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan. I'd go out and build my team around European guys that are used to the cold.
Yeah. Or like the appeal of wanting to be in that town is a huge part of that, right? I will say this. If Anthony Edwards decides he's going to be there long term, that's a playoff contender, because I don't say things like this, but I mean, 40 plus years watching the NBA, Anthony Edwards is just about the closest comp to Michael Jordan as I've ever seen as far as physicality. He's really coming into his own with his decision-making, and he is a competitor. He's a killer at the end of games. The record you're looking at right there has to do with Gobert and Towns in the interior. There's so much length on that team. But as far as closers go, Anthony Edwards, number 1 pick, right? He's going into, I believe this is 3rd or 4th season, but he, after that summer with the national team, leading scorer for them, he's really looking even more confident than ever before. And that's going to be a fun core if they keep it together, because Rudy Gobert was really the big question mark. Why do you bring him in if you already have Cat? Yeah. And people laughed because it didn't really work, but all of a sudden here we are a little bit into the season, and teams are really struggling scoring on that team on the inside. Whatever it is, the spacing, or if you got 2 long guys trying to go over and block every shot type of thing, doesn't really work. Too much congestion, you leave an open side on the backside or whatever. They're figuring it out. They're figuring out the spacing, and that defense is, like I said, number 1 in every metric right now in the NBA.
All right, we'll have more on that game tomorrow night. Suns and Timberwolves at the Footprint Center in downtown Phoenix. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the 5s with your traffic and weather is Cricket. We'll have Glenn Howe coming up. We'll break down Arizona football next here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Eastbound I-10 near Congress, collision reported off on the right shoulder. Eastbound I-10 near Congress, and your freeway backups on eastbound I-10 approaching Miracle Mile to Congress. Slow down southbound La Cholla at Ajo Way, also westbound Ajo at Mission, and more busy traffic on Campbell at Irving.
Come out every Thursday for Road to Riches, where there are over $100,000 in prizes up for grabs. Plus, there's 10K Saturday, Diamond Sunday Bingo, and more.
I'm there.
At Saurita, there are more great events, plus incredible entertainment all month at the Diamond Center Saurita.
Count me in.
Then make your picks each week to score your share of over $1 million. It's $1 Million Pro Football Frenzy at Tucson, Saurita, and Y.
That's true, Tucson.
It's always a good time at Desert Diamond Casinos.
True.
An enterprise of the Thana Autumn Nation.
See Rewards Center for details.
He's kind and he's funny and he's also mustachioed. He solves all your problems by the end of every episode. TV Dad. Everyone loves TV Dad. TV Dad. Unlike a real dad, he never hollers. And he tells you how Progressive can save you lots of dollars.
Listen to your TV Dad. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
DK on the Sports Tip on Wildcats Radio 1290. It's the 5 o'clock hour, and it's time for our Arizona Insiders.
Am I late?
No, my boy, you're just in time.
Each weekday, Wildcats Radio 1290 brings you all the latest news and opinions on U of A football and the Pac-12. So bear down, Tucson, and let's talk Arizona football. Our Arizona Insiders are brought to you by Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day at Arizona.
Breaking down Arizona Wildcats football, the U of A with a 34-31 walk-off win in Boulder over the Colorado Buffaloes. Joined as always by my man Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. And again, Glenn, let's dive into this one. We'll start with the offense. And when you look at this game, obviously the numbers were not what we had seen from Noah Fafita, but I think, and did he miss some throws? He did. But I just thought, after going back and looking at the tape, that Colorado just really covers well. And Noah had not faced a team, I think, that covers the pass like Colorado. And I guess you would expect that because of who their head coach is, Deion Sanders, one of the best cover guys to ever play the game of football. And I just thought that's what it was. I just thought that they went back to throw. The coverage was good, and at times there was just nowhere for Noah to go with the football.
Yeah, and you know what I think they were trying to do is they were trying to turn that coverage into turnovers, and that's how they get their turnovers, is by great coverage where guys take chances to throw it in small windows, and those small windows are sometimes in the hands of the Colorado defenders. So I think that they did a great job, and you got to give credit to Noah that maybe he threw some of those bad passes because I looked at the film, because they were covered so well, and he didn't want to get a turnover. And I think that give him credit that he's learning to take care of the football.
Yeah, I mean, he threw some of those. He just threw it to where only his receiver could get it. And just unfortunately, in some of those instances, there was just no play to be made there. And I thought just when you look at, again, his accuracy, I mean, you look at some of those throws, like the one he threw down the seam in the first half to Tetro McMillan. Attacking, I mean, just attacking one of the most dominant cornerbacks in this conference. They went right at Travis Hunter. They were not afraid to throw away. We talked. I remember we talked. When Christian Roland Wallace was here. How you never really knew. I mean, teams never really wanted to attack him because he was such a good cover guy. But they went right after Travis Hunter, and I liked that approach.
I like me saying this once again. We thought our guys were better than their guys. That's what you do. You take your best guy and you go against their best guy, and you rely on it. Your guy's better than their guy, and that's what we did. We attacked him. We didn't shy away from him, and we just made the plays. And that's what I think that what I'm really liking about this team and what Jed is trying to do and what Johnny Nenson is doing. They're just saying our guys are better than your guys, and we can take you on.
Now, obviously, we know that Tetro McMillan can catch the football. We have seen him climb the ladder a number of times over the course of the last few weeks to make catches. My concern, though, is with some of those passes is can Noah maybe put that ball in a better position so T-Mac doesn't necessarily have to go high all the time to catch some of these, because he's starting to take some pretty big hits out there in the middle of the field. And then there was the one I remember on the sideline where he got hit pretty hard. I'd like to see T-Mac take less hits out there than what I've seen the last couple of weeks.
And absolutely. And a lot of those hits are caused by great coverage. You got to understand that. A lot of those hits are caused by great coverage. That's because the guys are close in vicinity. They're trying to make him. They're trying to punish the receiver if he gets the ball. And like I said, when you have good coverage, you're going to be close in the vicinity, so you're going to get hit. So those are the kind of things that you have to take. And maybe this next game there won't be as great as coverage. I think Utah's pretty good at their corner position, but I still, like I said, our guy I think is better than their guy.
Joined by Glenn Howell. He is our Arizona Insider, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. It is Wildcat Breakdown, and when you look at the run game, Glenn, and I've thought all season that Leif Magnuson was playing at a very high level at that right guard position for Arizona, subbing in for the injured Raymond Polito. And my thought is okay, well, Raymond Polito better be really good if he's coming back in and they're going to play him ahead of Leif Magnuson. Well, Raymond Polito is really, really good.
Really good.
I mean, you see now what they saw in him. I mean, I thought, he was absolutely dominant at times in that game, in the run game.
Yeah, I mean, like I said before last week, he needed some snaps to get acclimated to play football in the Pac-12 and just playing football at the college level. And now he's acclimated, he's getting some confidence, and he's now saying, you know what, I can dominate this game. And the more he plays, the better he will get. So I'm excited about what he's been doing. And, our run game I think we have one of the best offensive lines, the top three offensive lines in the conference. That's what I think. I really honestly believe that. We have to take advantage of that. We've been running the ball. I like the number 30. Okay. If I look back at all the games, when we run 30, we've only lost one game. I believe it was one game at 30 carries. And then we've won a couple of them under 27 for this game and 27 I think we had for the NAU game. But that I really don't count that game. But you look at that. I'd like to see the 30 number, 30-plus number runs for our team, because our run game is excellent. I think it can do a lot of things. I think we haven't seen everything that they can do in the run game. So I'm really excited about seeing what they can do against this Utah defense.
And I think, and I've said it all season, I think one of the reasons that this team has run the ball so well, Glenn, is because of the job that the specialty guys have done. I mean, Tanner McLaughlin continues to dominate in the run game. Heck, even Montana Lamonius Craig stood out at times in this ball game, especially on that last drive. He had some critical blocks on a couple of those Jonah Coleman runs. A.J. Jones was in there throwing some nice blocks from the wide receivers position. I don't think our wide receivers get enough credit for what they're doing to make this run game go right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the guys on the outside, they knew that if they were going to play football wide receiver at the University of Arizona, they had to block. And what do they do? They tell the guys in the National Football League they have to block. Sometimes they're going to have to block. And those guys, if they're showing that now, they're going to have a better chance at the next level. And I think Jed and their staff is telling those guys, if you show that you can block and do those things, you're going to be able to go on to the next level. And these guys have really got good technique. You notice that we haven't had a holding penalty from a wide receiver in like 7 games. I believe I don't think we've had one since Mississippi State, really. So our guys are blocking legally. they're doing it. There might be cheating a little bit, but they're doing a great job of blocking without getting the flag.
It's Wildcat Breakdown. Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985, the tight end joining us, our Arizona Insider, brought to you by Coors Light. Coors Light is an official corporate sponsor of Arizona Athletics. Coors Light, there's nothing like game day at Arizona. Let's turn it over to the defensive side and the evaluation on this one. And you know what? I mean, when you look at what I was really impressed. We'll start with on the other side of the fence, and I was really impressed with Shadir Sanders and just kind of the way that he handled himself. He's a cool, calm kid. You don't really see him rattled at all out there. I mean, he's a young man that's obviously grown up around this game, been around this game, seen it at the highest level, and he plays like that when he's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be a pro quarterback. He's doing a great job. He loves the moment. You can tell that he loves the moment. He loves the pressure. And you can't, that's just like his pop, man. His pop loved the pressure. That's what they wanted. That's what he's grown up around, and that's what he's been doing. I thought our defense did the best that they can, man. I mean, the guy just made plays. He really made plays. I thought we should have had a couple more sacks, letting him out of the, getting loose and everything. And he's very strategic. Shadir is very strategic on his runs. He basically sets you up a little bit. He sets you up thinking that he's going to really throw the ball. Then all of a sudden, boom, he's out of the pocket and he's running. So I think we did a decent job there. I think our defensive backs did a pretty good job. We really they tried to burn us down the field, and our DBs, man, Prysock and freaking
Ephesians or Tacario Davis.
Yeah, Davis, man. I mean, those guys are really good corners. I think they've gotten better and better and better. And they're just going to be just a joy to watch in the next couple of years.
Well, in Saturday, in the post-game show, Glenn, we talked about the one play with Ephesians Prysock where he, and he turned perfectly on the ball to Hunter, and I mentioned how that was a drill that they worked on in practice. But how about the play in the fourth quarter with Tacario in the end zone, where he turned the one way, realized the ball was the other way, and quickly readjusted to make the deflection in the end zone? I mean, that right there was perfectly executed technique from Tacario Davis.
And that's just athleticism there, just being able to be an athlete and just being well coached. It's impressive with what I'm seeing on this side of the ball, on the defensive side, how well they're coached. You're seeing a lot of just great technique on the tackling, making open field tackles, doing all kinds of things. These guys are doing. So they're getting better on the technique, and we didn't talk a lot about technique in the last couple of years, man. We were talking about these guys really need to work on it. And they've been really working on it, and I'm proud of what these guys have turned into.
Here's my concern with this defense right now. And we kind of mentioned this last week with the move that Johnny Nansen made to kind of play a Martell Irby in a linebacker position. To me, that's not bad. It speaks to what Irby can do, but it also speaks to the fact that we really don't have a second linebacker right now behind Jacob Manu. The two guys that started the season, when you look at it, Daniel Hamuli and Justin Flo played a combined 7 plays in that game.
Yeah.
And one of the 2 plays that Justin Flo got on the field, he got lost once again, and allowed Shadir Sanders to escape on a run down in the red zone. How are they going to shore that up moving forward? Because you really need to have a second linebacker. I mean, they played the youngster, the freshman, Kamula Kahue. He played 17 plays in this ball game, but they just haven't seemed to have found that guy yet.
Yeah, and they will. We got to find that guy, and some guys are just not playing that well, and you can't put them on the field because they're a liability. But they're going to have to get better. We're just going to have to get better on that side, on that position, and as soon as we get that shored up, we might see Dalton Johnson in there. You might see, even DJ Warnell.
Yeah.
You might see him in there. He's a big, tall, long kid, and he might be able to be in there too. So, there's some other guys that they have some options with, and I'm sure they're going to find a way to get that done.
Well, DJ Warnell, I think he only was on the field 10 plays, but made a play. Dominic Lalisa was only on the field for 10 plays, but made a play. I mean, at least you've got some of those guys that they're taking advantage of their opportunity when they get out there for this defense. All right, it is Wildcat Breakdown with Glenn Howe. We're going to take a break here, and we'll come back. We'll hand out some game balls. We'll talk about special teams, which was so critical to that win in Colorado. Getting you home every 20 minutes on the fives with your traffic and your weather. Here's Cricket.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together. Reported collisions, Pima near Swan on Pima, east of Swan. Also some slowing on Swan at Speedway. Eastbound I-10 near Congress. That collision reported off on the right shoulder, and there are backups on eastbound I-10 as you approach Congress. 57 the low and clear skies tonight, partly cloudy, 84 tomorrow and 80 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 Traffic and Weather Together.
Economy Plumbing Service. If water goes through it or to it, we do it. 885-3510.
This report is sponsored by Discover. If you like using debit over credit, shouldn't you also get rewarded? Well, now you can with Discover Cashback Debit. It's a checking account that rewards everyone with cash back on everyday purchases with no fees, period. Check out eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
Hey guys, I have a riddle.
Wildcat breakdown. Arizona knocks off Colorado 34-31, getting set to host the Utah Utes this Saturday at the stadium. Kickoff set for 12:30 for Senior Day at Arizona Stadium. Joined, as always, by Glenn Howe, U of A football class of 1985. Glenn, let's talk about the special teams because they were indeed special. We saw our first game-winning kick of Tyler Loop's career, the Pac-12 Special Teams Player of the Week, made a 52-yarder, made a 24-yarder for the win, kicked 6 balls out of the end zone. He is now tied all-time in college football Division I for field goal percentage at 90%. I think you've got a all Pac-12 first-team kicker here, and that's one of the reasons I've been screaming all year. I think that Jed needs to use him a little bit more. Give the guy more opportunities.
Well, I think that if we're scoring on the inside, we don't need to use them. So we've been doing a pretty good job of getting in the red zone and scoring a little bit. That's what I think we need to do. The kid has just been playing just so well. Tyler's just been really kicking the ball well. He's got a lot of strength in his leg. It's exciting to have that guy in your pocket, man. I mean, the guy that you could just pull out and say, we need to win a game. It's just really, really, really exciting to have him.
Now, and we, it's funny, we mentioned in the first segment how Deion Sanders coaches this team. I thought one of the things that they did well was cover on defense, which is what he did well. The other thing that they did very well was return punts, which is something else that he did well at the NFL level. Our punt return defense was not what you would like. Too many short fields they gave Colorado in that ball game Saturday.
Yeah, we have to shore that up. There's just some times when, we really haven't had very many returns this year, So sometimes the guys get a little lax, but once that first one happened, you can't let the second one happen. So they have been really good. Colorado was really good on their blocks, staying on their blocks and maintaining their blocks to get their guy loose, and we got to get better at that.
All right, well, I'm gonna start out the game balls for me on special teams because obviously I'm gonna give one to Tyler Loop for putting himself in the record books, and now with a chance on his next made kick. If he can make the next kick is a make, he'll be the all-time leader in field goal percentage in Division I college football. So he's gonna get one of my game balls. The other game ball, I'm gonna give 2 on special teams this week. Because although I didn't, the coverage at times was not great, I thought the guy that stood out was Traden Stukes. Traden Stukes made 2 big tackles on special teams, a one to negate any gain on a punt return and another to really stop one from becoming a big punt return. And he just continues to do it on both defense and special teams. So I'm giving my special teams game balls to Traden Stukes and Tyler Loop.
All right, my special teams is going to go to Tyler Loop and our snapper for on the punt. Yes, on the punts. I mean, he had 6 that he had to get back there, and he did a great job of getting the ball back there. I mean, sometimes those guys don't get enough credit of what they did. He snapped the ball on the PAT. I mean not the PAT, but the game-winning field goal. Those guys got to get there's a lot of pressure on those guys also. I think on the offensive side of the ball, you got to go with Jonah Coleman. Mm-hmm. You got to give him one ball, and then I got to give T-Mac a ball, man. But T-Mac was just fantastic catching the ball. So I'm giving 2 balls out for game balls for T-Mac and also Jonah Coleman. Just getting it done. T-Mac, every time we needed a crucial first down or something, he's catching the ball over the middle, getting back up, and getting ready to just do it again. So and Jonah's just been killing people, just knocking people over,
stiff arm he put on Shiloh.
Oh my gosh, he just pushed him down like he was a little child. I mean, it was really, really nice. So I'm excited about what our running backs can do. We got a bright future in that running back room.
All right, well, I'm giving mine too. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give mine to Jonah Coleman on offense, and I'm also going to give a second one offense, and I'm going to give it to Raymond Polito for having his first big ball game down front and opening up some of those key holes to lead to 179 yards. For Jonah Coleman. On defense, actually, I'm gonna give only one on defense because I actually split, because I think Stukes, I gave one. Kind of Stukes could be a split special teams defense, and also a split special teams defense to Bill Norton, because he punched out that ball on the one kick return and at least gave the Wildcats an opportunity for a takeaway there in a game where there were none at all. And then obviously on the defensive side, he batted down a couple of passes, which again, anytime a defensive lineman can get their hands up and time those passing lanes, I think that's worthy of a mention as well. So Norton and Stukes get a combined special teams and defensive game ball for me.
Yeah, my defensive, I was going with Bill Norton, because Bill Norton, his numbers are not that high, but as far as like tackles and stuff like that, but you get, if you watch the film, he is taking up a couple of guys and getting other people loose. I mean, he's just playing, he's playing a lot better. He's the undercover kind of guy that the silent defender that you see, that you don't hear about a lot, but he's creating havoc. And then I give him a second game ball. I'm going to give it to Prysock. He's just been, he had 9 tackles. He had 8 solos. He had a breakup, and he's just been playing really solid, man. I just really excited. Every time I go and watch the game on the sideline, I'm just enamored by how big these guys are and how tall and lanky, and then confidence that they play. They have confidence, man. You have to have confidence as a corner, because if you don't, man, they'll eat you alive. And I think he's doing a great job.
All right, Glenn, any precursor thoughts on Utah coming up for this Saturday, Senior Day, final home game of the season?
Hey, this is everybody's been talking on the social media, everything about, are we going to keep Jed? Are we going to do this? How are we going to keep Jed and everything? Well, fans, you know how you keep Jed? We need to have every single seat taken in that stadium on Saturday. There's no more, everybody's talking about it and everything, but we have to show him and this school that we support this football program by getting in the seats. We need to have a sellout. There's no reason why we can't have a sellout. And I don't want to hear any more about, they should have done this, they should have done. Let's get the butts in the seats. Let's get them in there, and then let's start selling this, like next year, all the way through next year. We sell it all out every single game, and then we can start complaining. Okay, but until we do that, I don't want to hear it, because I don't even want to hear that stuff, man. Because we got to be able to sell this thing out. We're playing so well. This team is playing so well. Let's support these kids, and let's show them that we really care about them and we support them.
All right, Glenn, we'll see you bright and early Saturday morning on the mall.
8 o'clock is our start time.
Breakfast with the Wildcats at 8 a.m.
Breakfast burritos. All right. We'll see you. Bear down.
Thanks to Coors Light for bringing you today's Arizona Insiders on Wildcats Radio 1290. Coors Light, official corporate sponsors of Arizona Athletics. There's nothing like game day in Arizona.
All right, thanks as always to Glenn Howe for joining us. Don't forget, Goldberg and Osborne Injury Lawyers proud to support University of Arizona football this Saturday, the Wildcats and Utah Utes. It's a 12:30 kickoff. Get your tickets now. Few tickets are left to get. Call 621-CATS, 621-CATS, or visit ArizonaWildcats.com. And keep it here on Wildcats Radio 1290 for your chance to win your way into the game between the Wildcats and the Utah Utes. All right, we are not done. We are going to take you right up to tip-off Arizona women's basketball tonight right here on Wildcats Radio 1290. It is U of A and the University of San Diego. We're going to come back in the next half hour. We got about 20 more minutes for you. After the top of the hour, we're going to let you hear from Adia Barnes and her thoughts after the Wildcats knocked off Loyola Marymount 70-54 on Sunday. It's DK on the Sports Tip. I'm David Kelly. You're listening to Wildcats Radio 1290.
From the O'Reilly Chevrolet Traffic Center, it's Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together. Eastbound I-10 near Congress, earlier collision, still some slowing on the eastbound side of I-10 between Miracle Mile and Congress. Other collisions at Craycroft and Speedway and Pima to the east of Swan. We're seeing slowdowns for travel Grant and Campbell, Ajo and Mission, and also southbound La Cholla at Ajo. 57 the low, clear skies, partly cloudy, 84 tomorrow and 79 now. I'm Cricket with your Wildcats Radio 1290 traffic and weather together.
This report is sponsored by GeneratorFranchise.com. Millions protect their home.
sports media station. We are the sports station that Tucson turns to for all the latest news when it comes to Arizona men's basketball, along with all the play-by-play action. We are Wildcats Radio 1290.
Hey listener, welcome to Limu's Karaoke Lounge, where Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need, and the music never stops. Hit it!
There's an emu with a full-time job. His partner's Doug, but Limu's the heartthrob. Grubs and worms, that's what Limu eats. Gotta fuel up to save you money and hit the streets.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Diamondbacks download.
Baseball stuff! Baseball stuff!
Live from the CNWT.
From the what?
Central Northwest Tucson, duh.
It's DK on the Sports Tip with your host, David Kelly.
Radio. Just when I thought I was out, they drug me back in.
Featuring J.W. Madden.
Don't tell me about flip-flops, man. I'm a native.
And Cricket getting you home with traffic and weather.
Camp on Melt Lemon, not in the left lane on the freeway.
Here we go! And now, a man who has not one, but 3 first names, David Scott Kelly.
Yes, bonus time here, DKL the Sports Tip, for another 20 minutes, taking you up to Arizona women's basketball, Wildcats and University of San Diego tonight. 6:20 coverage time, 6:30 tip-off at McHale Center. And we'll have Derek Palmer on the call. We want you to hear from the head coach of the Arizona women's basketball team, Adia Barnes. Her team won on Sunday 70-54 over the Loyola Marymount Lions from Los Angeles. Here were Adia's thoughts after the game.
Okay. It wasn't always pretty today, but a win's a win. I'll take it this time of year. It's seeing all the upsets and different stuff going on, but we're definitely getting better, but we have a lot to work on. So...
Offensive fouls, they seem to be a theme in the early going. What's going on there?
I think some of that's just officiating. I think that there was just a point where they were cleaning up the game and just calling a lot both ways. So I think it was fairly called, and they were charges. We just saw a lot in like clusters. Yeah, I don't think I've been in a game where there's been like 6 or 7. Wasn't there like 6 or 7 called? There was a lot, but we just have to get better. I think. The theme that I'm seeing for us is we have to be a lot more disciplined in some things. We're going for way too many steals, and then we're out of position, and then so our guards are making it really difficult for our post and putting pressure, so the posts are receiving fouls because of it. So we have to work on closing out a little bit smarter, knowing the personnel who you're closing out to and what their strengths are. And then the other thing we have to work on is boxing out. Like we do not box out, so that'll be like a daily vitamin every day. That'll be our daily vitamin.
Take 27 threes?
No, and not, absolutely not. Like, that's not the personnel we had. Now, last year we wanted to do that, but no, we do not want to take 27 threes, regardless of how they're playing us defensively. Like, no, we do not. It's way too many. It's like, I think it was like when in doubt, shoot. Like, that's not the philosophy I want. Or the pass isn't open, just let me just shoot. A lot of times they weren't even in rhythm and shooting them just to shoot them, not to like, just taking them, not to make them, just taking them. I don't want that. I thought Kaylin had some good, the possession sticks out in my mind when she was right in front of the bench. She kind of faked the 3, passed it, got it back, drove to the seam of the defense. And those are the things we want. And I think just some awareness. If you've shot 3 threes and you haven't made one, don't shoot another one. Do something else or get to the rim. The flow of the game. If we've just jacked up 3 threes fast, don't be that person to take up the 4th. And some of that's when I look, we have 3 freshmen on the floor a lot. We're playing a lot of freshmen, so some of these are mistakes that we just need experience and we need to learn from. Because I was just like, well, and first of all, some people shouldn't be taking the ones they were taking, so I'm not a coach that says don't shoot, but I did say one time, that's why they started passing up. I said, do not take a 3. I told one player they can take it. I said, you do not take 3s, guys. So.
Freshman, but you have someone like Helena who has nearly a double-double with steals and points. I mean, just what does her leadership, her ability to play both ends kind of bring as one of the more experienced on the team?
Helena's phenomenal. She's our captain. She's our leader. She knows our system, offensively, defensively. She's very hard to have off the floor, and I didn't want to have her on the floor this much because we play so many games in such a short period of time. But just the foul trouble kind of made our rotations weird. She does so many things. She runs the offense. She gives us a poise on offense. She knows where to pass the ball. She advances the ball in transition. I was happy for her today. Her shots fell a little bit because she's been a little bit ice cold. Her and Jada have been cold. So once they got one or two falling, I felt better because they were very tense. And Helena not super tense, but just a little discouraged. Because when you're banged up or have some injuries and you're not shooting the ball well, it becomes a compounding thing. Because when you're limited because of an injury, then you're not getting like reps after practice because you're injured, so you're limited. So it's a double-edged sword. But I was happy. Helena played really, really well. I mean, 4 assists, 7 steals, 1 block shot, and 0 turnovers. I mean, that's a stat line that you love as a head coach or a teammate.
She was just so dominant today, and not only were those steals, I mean, she had 3 in the first quarter alone, but also, I mean, she really showed what a great teammate she is. When she hands the ball to Skylar to get that easy basket, there was another one later, and I think it was in the fourth quarter where she had an open 3 that she normally could have taken, and she passed it into Brea for an easy basket.
That's Helena. She's one of the most unselfish players I've ever coached or been a part of it with USA, anywhere I've coached. She's the perfect teammate. Like, she does everything right. She's great in the locker room. She's coachable. I've never had an issue with her ever with anything. She's great in the classroom. So she is like that person you want to clone. Great person, great family. What I love about her family is, like, she could be a star. She could average 20 a night. Her family, whether she didn't play or she played bad or win, lose, her parents it's never been about Helena. Like, we have a group text too with her family, and I don't speak Spanish, so sometimes I try to chime in. Sometimes I don't understand everything because Salva speaks Spanish. But, like, she cannot play. She can play bad. Her parents still congratulate the win. Like, she could be 0 for 7 or like 2 minutes of playing time. They still say, good job, good, like they're always so, like, an incredible family, parents, siblings, everybody. So it's the reason why she is the way she is, how she was raised, and she's, like, incredible. And it's funny because when I first started recruiting Helena, she didn't play defense. She was extremely quiet. I don't think you'd have to force her to talk. And she didn't really talk to me because she only spoke Spanish. So just to watch how much she's grown, like, as a teammate, as a woman, as a player, it's just been an honor to be a part of her journey. Like, she's incredible. Like, I mean, she's someone who I'd, like, bring back to work here. You know what I mean? Like, I just love her.
Kaylin, her rebounding. I mean, Ari was a big rebounder from the guard position. What's good? Why are they so effective? Players like her and
because they're small and athletic. Like, so Ari was a lot quicker, but Kaylin's like Ari played quicker. Like, Ari is faster, I think. Kaylin's fast and quick. She doesn't use it the same, but Kaylin's like super explosive and strong. Like, she's probably in the weight room. Like, Esmeri's really strong in the weight room. Kaylin's like right there. So for like a small guard that weighs a lot less, she, like, pound per pound, she's really strong. Like, it's amazing. I'm always like, wow. Like, she could live with like someone who's like really physical and strong in the weight room. She has hops, quick hops, and she just gets in there and muscles because she takes stuff over post players. She out rebounds from the post players and she gets in there. So I knew she was a good rebounder, but it's funny because in games she rebounds a lot harder and jumps a lot higher. Sometimes I don't see her jumping like that in practice. And it's funny because we have these like GPS. So we'll measure her quickness. And like sometimes she won't even get to her quickness in the game because I think she was so used to pacing and not exerting herself, like I don't know, keeping stuff in the tank, I guess. So she should be our fastest. It just doesn't, like, she doesn't play like that. So I think what she's learning is to turn it on and to turn it up a notch and go into that, that I guess that super drive, whatever. Yeah, or the turbo, because she has a turbo button, but she just doesn't use it all the time. I think she's learning how to use it and stuff. But I mean, 9 rebounds for like a 1-2 at her size is pretty remarkable.
Another thing that I'm seeing with her now is
Can you go back there?
she's scoring 15 points a game or whatever, and a lot of her points seem to come later in the game. Is it that you guys are wearing down? Usually you talk about posts, right, where a post all of a sudden will get a bunch of baskets towards the, in the third and fourth quarter because of your defense and how you've worn the team down. But when a guard does that, what do you think that she's seeing later on in the game, and all of a sudden her baskets or her shots are falling?
Yeah. Well, I think some of it she's been tampered by a little bit of foul trouble. So she'll go out, she'll sit for long periods of time. I think that is, and then she comes out with more energy because I think she's fresher. And I think she analyzes things. So I think she's really good when she can sit and look at places she can be successful in. So like, look where the seams are, she can score. Look where we're getting our shots. I think she's really processes those things and is a deep thinker in that way. So I think sometimes giving her a few minutes to look at that or to explain things for her, she does it. It's funny because I was like, stop taking threes. She was like, Coach, but if I'm open, can I take a three? I said, yeah, you can. Because she's shooting the three so well. She was one of the few shooting it well. So I was like, yeah, don't listen to that. You can take the three when you're open. But it's just funny because she wanted me to hear that. And then she said at one point, well, are you going to take me out if I do that? I said, for you, I won't. You know what I mean? But she like takes it literal. It's really cute because she's still young. So I love her. And we have a good relationship. But it's funny because sometimes like she'll take exactly what I say and I'm like, no, you're shooting good, you can do it. But it's just more general. But she'll be like, are you gonna take me out if I do? I'm like, no, you can go do that, go score. Or I can say like, hey, you can get to the basket. Then the next 3 possessions she'll get to the basket. But like sometimes it's just helping her see what like she can do. And then but she knows I believe in her. And she's playing with so much confidence. So I love that.
A little bit different lineup tonight. Are you pacing people? Are people a little banged up?
No.
Just practice?
Well, it's just our starts have been really bad. They changed it. They were bad again. Just not wanting to give up 14 to 16 points in 5 minutes. Like that's not who we are. Like we're usually holding people at home under 50 points, like consistently, and we don't really have that sense of urgency. And I don't know what the solution is because we didn't have that today either. So it's just finding that lineup that gives us like that spark and that like punch first mentality. We're not having that. We're like punching and we're taking punches and punching back, taking punches. And I don't want to exchange punches in the first 5 minutes. So figuring out that group. And I thought ISIS, it's harder for players like ISIS and Brea when we're playing against a lot more like smaller teams. I think ISIS and Brea are going to excel even more when we play against bigger teams and even in the Bahamas. But we're playing so many guards, and we're going out on the perimeter a lot. But I thought Isis played really well. I thought she's always doing the right thing. She's pursuing the ball, so she's really valuable. And I thought Brea was in a little bit of foul trouble because of the guards, but Brea continues to really finish well inside. If you look at her games, I want to say she's like 19 for 21. Like to start your first 3 college games and be 19 for 21, that's pretty phenomenal. Now we just got to work with her on little things like freshman stuff. And she was out for weeks. So pacing her, and I know everybody wants her to play 30 minutes. Like, she's not ready to. And I don't care what people say. She's like, what me and her have this thing, after a few minutes, you look at me and you need to come out, or you tell me I need one. Go in hard because we're working you back into shape. I'm looking at the future for her and the Pac-12 and getting her ready. Like, she's going to be an All-American one day. And so I'd rather her go harder, and this is the hardest she's ever gone, play 3-4 minutes, come out, then go back in. And today she was in foul trouble, but, she's definitely one of the best freshmen in the country, for sure, and she will be. And she's learning, and she wants to learn, and she's coachable. She wants to do better, so she's going to be really good, I'm telling you guys.
All right, that is the head coach of the Arizona Wildcats women's basketball team, Adia Barnes.
That was the Wildcat Radio Replay with the best of the best from 1290. It's brought to you by Desert Diamond Sportsbook, Arizona's best bet.
All right, that's going to wrap up our show for today. Thanks to J-Dub. Thanks to Cricket. Most of all, thanks to you for listening. Arizona women's basketball versus San Diego is next here on Wildcats Radio 1290.
Dell's Black Friday event is their biggest sale of the year. Shop limited time deals on laptops like the stylish, innovative XPS 13, engineered to do it all on the Intel Evo platform. Plus, save big on ultra-sharp monitors and top brand accessories. It's the perfect time to upgrade any home, business, or game.